Will misleading labels and bureaucratic maneuvers save President Biden's anti-growth economic agenda? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. Politicians have long been masterful in disguising or obscuring the true nature of their proposals. They have long resorted to euphemisms and outright false labeling to push agendas they knew did not have widespread popular support or arouse bitter opposition from adversely affected groups. Decades ago, for instance, tearing down poor but vibrant city neighborhoods that brimmed with community life was called urban renewal. Tall, sterile, antiseptic public housing projects were labeled acres in the sky. Pork-laden government spending bills are routinely described as investments. Two recent examples of this putting verbal lipstick on a pig are modern monetary theory and modern supply-side economics. Modern monetary theory, MMT, posits that governments can spend freely without worry about deficits, debts, taxes, and inflation. No need to tax or borrow to get revenue, just create the money and pour it out by the trillions to finance every program politicians in power desire. Taxes are needed only to redistribute money from the rich to those politicos deem worthy of their handouts. Inflation? Not a problem. Somehow policymakers will know when to slow down the printing presses. As experience repeatedly demonstrates, this kind of wild money printing fires up inflation. As the history of Germany in the 1920s attests, it can ignite a hyperinflation that leads to a worthless currency. That German disaster, by the way, made possible the rise of Adolf Hitler. Today, Venezuela, Argentina, and other nations are undergoing hyperinflations. The U.S. national debt proportionately has never been higher. Inflation is a discernible problem, yet modern monetary theory is the unofficial religion of the Biden White House and of many at the Federal Reserve. Unless jettisoned, MMT will fuel exponentially more inflation than we have now. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen the other day made a speech extolling modern supply-side economics. The original idea of supply-side economics came in response to the great inflation of the 1970s. The notion is simple. To consume something, one must first create that something. Low tax rates, a stable dollar, and less arbitrary, burdensome regulation will create the environment where more and more gets produced and consumed. Secretary Yellen proclaimed this formula failed, altogether ignoring real-world results of higher growth, higher incomes, and an improving standard of living. She says her modern version of higher taxes, more spending, and more rules and regulations will somehow fight inflation and provide a cornucopia of freebies like child care. She forgets that governments don't create resources, people do. Yellen's modern version of supply-side economics would mean less supply, less innovation, and a lower standard of living. A more apt description of her nostrums would be unsupply economics. Conclusion: never judge a political proposal by its label. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.